What's up guys, Part-Time Gamer Dad here, and today I'm going to attempt to predict the card for Full Gear 2024. If you watched my video for the WrestleDream 2024 review, you know I started accidentally predicting the Full Gear 2024 card, and so today I'm going to give you a fully fleshed out card that I think could and maybe should happen. Couple of ground rules. Number one, I am limiting myself to 8 matches. So there are some things that I will be leaving off, i.e. AEW Women's Championship match. I will have the TBS Championship here. And then also some matches that might have storylines already developing, but it's kind of hard to say like what's happening with those matches, i.e. Some conflict between maybe like Christian and Kip Sabian, Christian and Hook, matches that like have stories built in, but I see some other clear paths to other matches. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Starting off, I have a rematch from WrestleDream, and that is Private Party taking on the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships, but I would have it in a ladder match. The reason being is, as you saw with Private Party losing to the Bucks, I think you had to add the stipulation to create like a sense of excitement, giving Private Party the opportunity to win the match in a way that it kind of goes beyond just like pinning the Young Bucks, especially after what happened and them losing pretty decisively at WrestleDream. So I think that this would be a good way and just kind of take it to the next level. These two teams are two teams that make sense to put in a ladder match. Some of the Bucks' best matches in AEW have been ladder matches, so this one to me is a no-brainer. And I'll also be predicting like who I would, or tell you who I would have win. And like I said in my WrestleDream predictions video and review video, I would just have Private Party win. I think this is the time. They got that video package at WrestleDream. I think this is the time to give them the titles and then kind of have the Bucks step away for a bit as the Blackpool Combat Club storyline gets fleshed out, because I think between the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club, Blackpool Combat Club group is definitely more interesting story-wise. So you can kind of have the Elite come back and face them down the road as maybe like a foil, saying we built AEW, you guys are trying to take it down, tear it down, a la NWO in 96, 97, 98 WCW. But that all being said, I would have Private Party go over and win the tag titles. Next up is a match I actually mentioned in that WrestleDream review video, and that is Daniel Garcia taking on Jack Perry for the TNT Championship. This is a no-brainer to me. It's got to happen, right? Like with all of the pieces being laid out right in front of us, it's pretty clear that that's the direction we're heading. And I said this in my review video of WrestleDream, I would have Jack Perry lose the championship to Daniel Garcia. I think Daniel Garcia is the right person to take it off of him, and I think it's the right time. So I don't feel like I gotta say a whole lot about this one, but I will use this time to also talk about the next match, which is MJF versus Adam Cole. I said this in my review video of WrestleDream. I really feel like the heel face dynamic is kind of weird, even though that's where we started the story, with MJF being the heel, Adam Cole being the babyface. They become a tag team. Adam Cole brings MJF over to the good side, and then in the background, he's creating a whole super faction to take down MJF, the Alliance and MJF. So now we're at this point where all that's kind of gone back to square one. MJF is the heel, Adam Cole is the babyface, and so I think you have that matchup finally, and I think you got to have Adam Cole win, right? Because it's like his first big match in like well over a year, because he was injured for so long. It took a lot of time to get back. So I think you have that be the case, even though it still feels weird, because like if you look at the story realistically, Adam Cole was the bad guy. He did the wrong thing, and MJF trusted him as a friend. So all that being said, I would have Adam Cole go over against MJF. Next up, I talked about this earlier, TBS Championship. Mercedes Moné defends against Kris Statlander. And this is one where, again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. It's pretty cut and dry. You have Camille involved. And so whether Kris Statlander is made to look like $1 million, which I'm sure she will be, she's a great wrestler. I think that Mercedes still walks away with the title. She's got the muscle. There's a long-term storyline and plan they have. They paid Mercedes a lot of money to be part of AEW, so I don't think they want to completely strip her of the title. And maybe we have like that Shawn Diesel thing down the road where Camille is the one to take the title for Mercedes. So this will be a much longer storyline that gets played out. It's going to take some time to get there. Or maybe Mercedes wins clean, but however it plays out, I see Mercedes retaining the title at Full Gear against Kris Statlander. Next up, we have Kyle Fletcher facing his former best friend, Will Osprey, after Kyle Fletcher screwed Will Osprey out of his international championship, basically handing the title over to Takeshita, joining the Don Callis family, and now I think I hear some people talking about Will Osprey getting his rematch against Takeshita, and maybe that's what will happen. I have somebody else facing Takeshita, but I feel like have Kyle Fletcher on that huge stage of Full Gear, kind of one of the original 4 like main pay-per-views, one of the big 4 pay-per-views from the inception of AEW, and put him on the map against Will Osprey. And I would love to say have Will Osprey win, but this is like the biggest match of Kyle Fletcher's career. Have Kyle Fletcher beat Will Osprey. It could be by fluke, it could be he gets screwed, it could be by luck. But I think this is your opportunity to build Kyle Fletcher, and you can give Will Osprey the win down the road. Maybe they have a rematch at World's End. That's where he gets his win back. Maybe make it a number 1 contenders match for the international championship. So he gets his rematch at Revolution against Takeshita, which at that point he can win the title back. Or maybe you just move him on to the next big thing. Maybe they wrestle in the number 1 contenders match for the TNT title or the world title. But I think this match makes a lot of sense. And I think Kyle Fletcher actually makes a lot of sense winning. Osprey would probably win just because he's not prone to lose very often. But you want to build a new megastar just virtually overnight, give Kyle Fletcher that win over Will Osprey. Now, I do have Takeshita defending the international championship on this show, but I have him defending against Ricochet. Ricochet being the 3rd member of that triple threat match involving Takeshita and Ricochet and Osprey at Wrestle Dream. With him not getting the pinned by Takeshita and Osprey going to fight Fletcher, I think it makes sense that Ricochet would be the guy to face Takeshita initially. And also, he'll give Takeshita a good showing. Takeshita, I think, wins easily. Like that would be my the easiest pick of the card. The one I have the most confidence in. But I think it would create a great dynamic because Takeshita's a good base for Ricochet. At the same time, Takeshita can do a lot of his own theatrics and acrobatics against a guy like Ricochet too. So it would be a great dynamic, and they've already shown some great chemistry as evidenced by the triple threat at Wrestle Dream, even with and without Will Ospreay. So there's a lot of really great pieces there. And then obviously I would have Takeshita go over. It just makes the most sense. Continue to build up the Don Callis family. That's another good reason for Fletcher to beat Osprey, is that it really shows the power in the Don Callis family. So my prediction for the matchup, if you will, is Takeshita versus Ricochet, with Takeshita going over. Next up, the semi-main. Even though the position on the card would probably be a little different, I have Blackpool Combat Club. So that's Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac defending their trios championships against some men that you saw at the end of Wrestle Dream come to the aid of Bryan Danielson as he was being beaten up at the end of the show. And that's the Conglomeration, and in particular, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly. I think it makes sense, kind of this like line in the sand storyline. You have all these guys who like really respected Danielson in storyline, right? Like Claudio, Mox, Wheeler, Pac, like all in real life respect Danielson. Like that's their boy. But you have like in storyline all these other guys who like respect Danielson, bleed AEW, and they want to get some revenge for Danielson. So how do you do that? Well, you have a trios tag title match, which we haven't had in just a little bit. And it'd be great because you have Claudio and Wheeler Yuta and Pac, like just 3 really solid workers. You get Wheeler Yuta like with this really intense heat after turning on Darby Allin and Bryan Danielson in there against guys that the entire AEW crowd love, especially Briscoe and Orange Cassidy. And we love Kyle O'Reilly, but really it's Cassidy and Mark Briscoe, right? And so have that 3v3, and then obviously Kyle O'Reilly eats the pin from a running knee from Wheeler Yuta, because at the end of the day, that's the storyline we build up. Orange Cassidy, I think, could be a guy to go against Jon Moxley down the road for the AEW Championship. And then also, I don't think you have Mark Briscoe eat the pin here. He's the ROH World Champion, so protect that integrity of the title a little bit. So to me, it makes the most sense. Still, Blackpool Combat Club holds the gold. They retain, and you have Kyle O'Reilly eat the pin specifically for Wheeler Yuta and continue building him into a huge star, because I think the opportunity you have here is Claudio is kind of, he's not on the twilight of his career, but like he's established. Pac is established. John Moxley is the world champion. So build up Wheeler Yuta. He's the young guy. He's the young blood. And he just turned. And it was heartbreaking. So build him up. And then eventually, like maybe they'll go against House of Black or somebody else. But I think that is where we start by really seeing Wheeler Yuta's like massive rise as maybe not a main event star right now, but eventually to that end down the road. So all that leaves is the main event. And I think it's pretty clear. I think anybody would guess this to be the main event of Full Gear. And that is Jon Moxley defending his AEW World Championship against Darby Allin, the man who came out alongside Wheeler Yuta to stop the Blackpool Combat Club from taking down Bryan Danielson, and then had his heart broken, had his heart shattered by Wheeler Yuta, who gave him the running knee, taking him out, and then had to watch as Blackpool Combat Club decimated this man, this legend, this hero right in front of his eyes. And what's hard to think of is when you consider that Darby Allin has been on this rise, and he was originally potentially the man to take the title from Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream, and now he won't be winning that title for a while, because let's be real, Moxley holding the title is what keeps the storyline going and keeps the storyline alive, even if he brings the title out and he threw it in that bag at Wrestle Dream, so who knows. But you have this dynamic, right, of like the heart and soul of AEW against kind of the man who has been the pillar of AEW since its inception, Jon Moxley, the winningest AEW World Champion of all time in terms of like the number of reigns. And so it's a conflict of styles, it's a conflict of stories, it's a conflict of desires and wants, and what are they trying to accomplish, which it's still kind of vague when it comes to Mox and the Blackpool Combat Club. But at the end of the day, I think what we're going to see is this really valiant effort that just eventually gets snuffed out. And then maybe we see them try to take out Darby the same way they took out Danielson, but you have more buy-in from Conglomeration, you have buy-in from other people within AEW, and then maybe we see the next challenger come out, whether that's Orange Cassidy or somebody else who sticks up for Darby Allin, maybe Sting, or the other big thing that we could see is whoever's pulling the strings in the background, who's kind of like the leader of Blackpool Combat Club, or like who's trying to invade AEW, which could be Shane O'Mac. And I know that may not happen, but it's just fun to theorize. So my prediction for the main event of Full Gear is Darby Allin takes on Jon Moxley for the world title. Valiant fight, valiant effort, but ends up losing to Jon Moxley, who then tries to take him out, and we see all hell break loose once again. All right, guys, so those are my predictions for the card of Full Gear 2024. What do you think? Are there any that you think for sure will happen? Any that you disagree with? What matches would you like to see, or do you think we'll see a Full Gear 2024? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you like gaming, wrestling, or the occasional parent humor, you're in the right place, and I will see you very soon.